chaos into clarity and turning pain into power. What if, in the midst of life's storms, you could find a way to turn chaos into clarity, to transform pain into your greatest source of power? Imagine if you could train your mind as a warrior sharpens a blade, molding it to withstand any challenge, and build an emotional fortress so strong that no one, no circumstance, no setback could ever breach it. In today's video, we're going to explore 10 powerful Buddhist principles that can help you achieve exactly that, becoming emotionally unbreakable no matter what life throws your way. These principles are not just abstract ideas, they are practical, transformative tools you can apply to your everyday life. Think of them as your armor against fear, stress, and weakness, helping you navigate even the most difficult times with inner strength and unwavering peace. Perhaps you've felt overwhelmed by the demands of life, trapped in a cycle of anxiety, stress, or self-doubt. Maybe you've faced challenges that seem insurmountable, leaving you questioning your ability to persevere. But what if you had the power to face these trials with a mindset so strong, so unshakable that you could not be moved by external circumstances? By embracing these principles, you will not only build a resilience that enables you to weather any storm, but also cultivate a deep sense of calm and control over your emotions. With each lesson, you'll uncover a new layer of inner strength and learn how to take full control of your inner world. Throughout this video, we'll delve into the timeless wisdom of Buddhist teachings, showing you how to apply them to your life in a way that can help you rise above emotional turmoil. Whether you're dealing with stress, fear, anger, or sadness, these 10 life-changing principles will guide you toward emotional mastery, allowing you to respond to life's challenges with grace, wisdom, and a deep sense of inner peace. As we go through each principle, remember this: your mind is a powerful tool, and with practice, you can train it to serve you, not hinder you. Your emotional strength is not something you're born with, it's something you can cultivate, one principle at a time. So, if you're ready to embark on this journey toward emotional unbreakability, stay with me. By the end of this video, you will have the tools to master your emotions, strengthen your mind, and take full control of your inner world. Let's begin this life-changing journey together. Cultivate the sacred pause. A warrior's response to chaos, the power of the sacred pause in Buddhism. In Buddhism, one of the highest forms of self-mastery is the ability to pause before reacting. This sacred pause, a powerful and intentional space between feeling an emotion and taking action, holds the potential for profound transformation. It is in this gap that wisdom can step in, offering a moment of reflection before impulse takes over. Much like a skilled warrior in battle, who knows that reacting impulsively to every threat would only expose them to greater danger, you too must learn the art of pausing, of assessing the situation with clarity and precision before acting. This pause is not a sign of weakness, rather it is the embodiment of strength, control, and emotional intelligence. Imagine for a moment that you are a warrior in the midst of battle. The battlefield is filled with chaos, constant shifts in energy, and threats from every direction. If you were to react immediately to every movement, every challenge, you would be overwhelmed. Your mind would be clouded by panic, fear, or anger, and you would expose yourself to greater risk. But if, instead of reacting, you were to remain still for a moment, taking a deep breath and assessing the situation, you would have a better understanding of where to strike, when to retreat, and how to preserve your energy for the most important moments. This pause allows you to remain in control of your emotions, actions, and decisions. This is the essence of Buddhist practice. In the same way, Your emotions act as waves within the ocean of your mind. These waves can rise with intensity, crashing over you in moments of anger, fear, or frustration. At first, the wave may seem overwhelming, a powerful force that threatens to overtake you. But the Buddhist teachings remind us that, just like all waves, these emotions will eventually pass. The intensity may rise rapidly, but if you can learn to pause, breathe, and observe the wave without immediately reacting to it, the emotional storm will soon subside. Let's take the emotion of anger as an example. Anger can surge like a tidal wave, seemingly consuming your thoughts and actions in an instant. Someone cuts you off in traffic, a friend says something hurtful, or you face a situation that feels unjust. Your first instinct might be to lash out, to respond with words or actions driven by emotion. But in that moment, if you take a breath and allow yourself a brief pause, you give yourself the opportunity to assess the situation with wisdom. You can ask yourself, is this reaction going to make the situation better or worse? Am I acting out of a temporary emotional surge, or am I acting with clarity and purpose? This pause is your opportunity to reflect on the true nature of the situation. By taking a step back, you create the space to see things more objectively. You might realize that the person who cut you off in traffic was not intending to harm you, or that the hurtful comment made by your friend came from their own pain. By allowing yourself this sacred pause, you remove the immediate emotional impulse and create room for a more mindful, measured response. And in doing so, you gain mastery over your emotions instead of being controlled by them. Buddhism teaches that emotions are not inherently good or bad. They are natural, temporary, and fleeting. Like waves in the ocean, emotions rise and fall, come and go. The key to emotional mastery lies in your ability to ride the waves without being swept away by them. If you act immediately, you are simply reacting to the wave, letting it dictate your actions. But if you pause, breathe, and observe, you allow the wave to pass by without allowing it to control you. Let's explore this further with another example, the emotion of fear. Fear often rises within us like a dark cloud, clouding our judgment and making us feel as though danger is imminent. Fear can paralyze us, preventing us from moving forward or making decisions. But if you practice the sacred pause in moments of fear, you may begin to recognize that fear is often just a passing thought, not a fact. You might ask yourself, what is the real source of my fear? Is this fear based on something concrete, or is it simply my mind creating worst-case scenarios? How can I respond with calm and clarity instead of panic? This ability to pause before reacting is the foundation of emotional resilience. In moments of fear, frustration, or anger, you give yourself the chance to respond with wisdom, to choose your actions consciously rather than letting your emotions dictate them. Over time, this practice strengthens your ability to remain calm, grounded, and unshakable in the face of life's challenges. The more you practice the sacred pause, the more you cultivate a sense of emotional invincibility. You are no longer at the mercy of your emotions, but rather you become their master. This is the essence of emotional intelligence, the ability to acknowledge your emotions without being overwhelmed by them, to allow them to flow through you without letting them define your actions. In Buddhism, this concept is often referred to as mindfulness or sati. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, observing your thoughts, emotions, and sensations without attachment or judgment. It's about creating that space of awareness where you can pause and respond mindfully rather than reacting impulsively. When you cultivate mindfulness, you begin to see life's challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to practice control, to build your emotional strength, and to grow in wisdom. Think of it like this. You are the ocean, and your emotions are the waves. Sometimes the waves may be rough and stormy, but you are always the vast, unshakable ocean beneath. The waves may come and go, but the ocean remains. You are the unshakable center of calm, regardless of the storm around you. This is the true power of the sacred pause. This practice of pausing before reacting is not something that happens overnight. It requires patience, discipline, and consistent practice. But with time, you'll find that the waves of emotion become less overwhelming. You'll be able to observe your emotions with greater clarity and respond with more wisdom. You'll begin to build that emotional fortress, a fortress not made of walls that keep emotions out, but of a deep, unshakable stillness that allows you to weather any storm with grace and strength. So, the next time you find yourself in the grip of a strong emotion, whether it's anger, fear, frustration, or even sadness, remember the warrior. Remember that, just as a warrior in battle remains still, assesses the situation, and strikes with precision, you too have the power to pause, observe, and respond with wisdom. This is not about suppressing or denying your emotions. It's about cultivating the ability to choose how to respond, rather than reacting out of habit or impulse. It's about turning pain into power, chaos into clarity, and weakness into unshakable strength. This is the way of the true warrior, the way of mindfulness, the way of Buddhist practice. And with every pause you become stronger, more resilient, and more in control of your inner world. Reframe every attack as a challenge to your mental fortress. Transforming conflict into growth, the Buddhist path to inner strength. In Buddhism, true strength is not found in avoiding or resisting conflict, but in transforming it into a powerful tool for personal growth. Life in its essence is full of challenges, disagreements, and moments where we feel misunderstood or criticized. But how you choose to respond to these challenges can determine your emotional resilience, your ability to grow stronger, and your sense of peace. Buddhism teaches that every time you face criticism, disrespect, or any attempt to bring you down, you are presented with a choice. You can either take it personally, allowing it to weaken your resolve, or you can see it as an opportunity to fortify your mind, deepen your practice, and strengthen your emotional foundation. The Buddha himself was no stranger to criticism. Throughout his life, he was ridiculed, disrespected, and even attacked by those who disagreed with him. Yet, despite the relentless barrage of insults, the Buddha remained unshaken. His peace was unmovable, his mind unwavering. Why? Because he understood one of the most profound truths of human existence. Insults, criticisms, and negative actions only have power over you if you accept them. Think of your mind as a fortress. If the walls of your mind are weak and easily disturbed, then even the slightest attack, a sharp word, a disapproving look, or a challenging comment can break through and leave you feeling wounded. Your peace can be shattered, your sense of self-doubt can be triggered, and the internal turmoil may seem uncontainable. However, if you fortify the walls of your mental fortress, if you build a foundation of inner strength, no matter how hard someone tries to tear it down, it will stand firm. You become a person who is not easily shaken, not because you are impervious to challenges, but because you have developed the mental resilience to rise above them. Every negative comment, every betrayal, every challenge you face in life, whether big or small, is essentially a test of your mental strength. Life will always present you with opportunities to practice and develop resilience, and in Buddhism, these are seen as precious moments of growth. Instead of reacting immediately with anger, frustration, or self-doubt, the key is to train yourself to respond with mindfulness. You can choose to say, "This is not an attack. This is an opportunity to become stronger." Every challenge, no matter how unpleasant, is an invitation to grow beyond your current limits, to expand your mental capacity, and to deepen your understanding of yourself. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is the importance of detachment from ego. The ego, that part of us that craves approval, validation, and recognition from others, is often the source of much of our emotional suffering. When we tie our sense of self-worth to how others perceive us or how much validation we receive, we open ourselves up to emotional vulnerability. The moment someone criticizes us, our ego feels threatened and we react. But when we begin to detach from the need for external validation, we liberate ourselves from the power that other people's words and actions hold over us. Imagine for a moment that someone throws insults or criticism your way. Normally, you might feel hurt, defensive, or frustrated. You may start to question your worth or try to defend yourself. But if you've cultivated a practice of detachment, your response can be radically different. Instead of feeling wounded or reacting impulsively, you simply observe their words as though they were the wind passing by without any lasting effect. The insults come and go, but they leave you untouched. You are grounded in your inner peace, unshaken by external forces. This is the ultimate form of strength in Buddhist philosophy. To be so grounded in your sense of inner peace that no external force, no matter how intense, hurtful, or provoking, can shake you. When you achieve this state of mind, you are no longer at the mercy of other people's judgments or actions. You are free from the prison of ego, free from the need for approval, and free from the grip of negative emotions. You are the master of your emotions, not a victim of them. To understand this principle more deeply, let's explore the concept of ego in Buddhism. The ego is the sense of self that we cling to, the part of us that defines who we are based on external factors, our achievements, our appearance, our relationships, and even our possessions. This ego is fragile because it relies on external circumstances that are often beyond our control. When something threatens the ego, such as a harsh criticism or a perceived insult, we react with defensiveness or hurt. Buddhism teaches that this ego is not our true self. It is a construct, a collection of thoughts, labels, and attachments that we mistakenly identify as who we really are. The true self, according to Buddhism, is beyond the ego. It is the part of us that is connected to the present moment, to our true nature, which is pure, untainted, and full of compassion. When we detach from the ego, we are able to see ourselves more clearly and objectively. We realize that we are not defined by other people's opinions or actions, and that our worth is intrinsic, not dependent on validation or recognition. Detaching from the ego doesn't mean that we become emotionless or indifferent. Rather, it means that we no longer allow our emotions to control us. We can still feel anger, sadness, or frustration, but we do not allow these emotions to dictate our responses or cloud our judgment. Instead, we observe them with mindfulness, allowing them to pass like clouds in the sky without holding on to them or reacting impulsively. The ability to detach from the ego and transform criticism or conflict into a source of growth is a process that requires practice. It is not something that happens overnight, but rather something that deepens over time with meditation, mindfulness, and self-awareness. Every time you practice this, you strengthen your inner fortress, fortifying the walls of your mind so that external negativity cannot break through. In moments of criticism, disrespect, or conflict, remind yourself, this is not a personal attack. This is an opportunity to grow stronger. When you encounter negative comments or challenging situations, instead of reacting from a place of hurt or defensiveness, pause for a moment. Observe your feelings. Are you reacting out of fear, insecurity, or ego? Or are you responding with wisdom, detachment, and clarity? As you continue on your path of personal growth, you will find that over time, these moments of conflict no longer have the same power over you. You will develop a deep sense of inner peace and confidence that comes from knowing your true self. No insult, no criticism, and no external force will be able to shake you, because you will be rooted in the unshakable strength of your inner peace. This is the power of Buddhist teachings. By transforming conflict into growth, criticism into strength, and ego into detachment, you become emotionally resilient, unshakable in the face of life's challenges. You become the master of your mind, the keeper of your peace, and the true warrior of your own life. Train yourself to embrace discomfort. Like a Navy SEAL, embracing discomfort as a tool for growth in Buddhism. In Buddhism, the path to true strength is not found in avoiding discomfort, but in embracing it as a tool for personal growth and transformation. Just as a warrior or a Navy SEAL trains their body and mind to endure extreme conditions, Buddhism teaches that the key to emotional resilience lies not in running away from discomfort, but in learning how to sit with it, face it, and grow stronger as a result. The Buddha himself demonstrated that real freedom and strength arise when we stop avoiding suffering and instead confront it directly. In this way, we unlock a deeper sense of inner peace, clarity, and emotional mastery. Life, as we know, is full of challenges and discomfort. We face rejection, failure, loneliness, and uncertainty at different points in our journey. These experiences can feel overwhelming, and often our instinct is to avoid or escape them. People try to numb themselves with distractions, whether it's seeking comfort in food, turning to entertainment, or engaging in temporary pleasures that provide momentary relief. The problem, however, is that these distractions offer only temporary respite, leaving us in the same state of emotional turmoil once they fade away. The Buddha taught that true freedom does not come from avoiding discomfort or running from suffering. Instead, it comes from directly facing these difficult emotions, acknowledging them for what they are, and seeing them in their true light, impermanent and powerless, unless we allow them to control us. Suffering is not inherently bad. It is a natural part of the human experience. The challenge lies not in avoiding discomfort, but in our response to it. Buddhism encourages us to see suffering as a means of growth and as an opportunity to strengthen the mind. Imagine for a moment the intense training that a Navy SEAL undergoes to become unbreakable. The physical endurance required, the mental toughness developed, and the ability to stay calm and focused in the most extreme environments are all part of the process. Navy SEALs don't shy away from discomfort. They lean into it, knowing that only through enduring hardship can they build the resilience necessary to face life's greatest challenges. In the same way, Buddhism teaches that emotional resilience is cultivated not by avoiding hardship, but by embracing it with awareness and mindfulness. Just as a Navy SEAL's training makes them unshakable in the face of danger, the Buddhist path teaches that by facing discomfort head-on, we can strengthen our minds to remain unshaken in the face of emotional or mental turbulence. One of the core principles of Buddhism is mindfulness, the ability to be fully present and aware of the moment without reacting impulsively. Mindfulness is especially powerful when it comes to discomfort. When frustration, fear, anxiety, or sadness arises, the natural human tendency is to react quickly. We want to do anything to escape the discomfort, whether it's reaching for our phone, eating something sweet, or losing ourselves in distractions. But Buddhism teaches that the more we resist discomfort, the more power we give it. When we avoid it, we unknowingly empower it to control us. Instead of running from discomfort, the practice of mindfulness teaches us to stop and observe. When frustration arises, instead of reacting with anger or irritation, we pause and acknowledge it. We don't judge ourselves for feeling frustrated, but simply observe the sensation, allowing it to pass without resistance. When we feel restless, instead of fidgeting or seeking distractions, we sit with the restlessness, letting it be. The discomfort is there, but it no longer controls us. We begin to realize that emotions like frustration, fear, and anxiety are not permanent. They are fleeting, temporary, and will pass as all things do. This is where the power of mindfulness becomes evident. When we practice being present with our discomforts without reacting, we train our minds to develop a deeper sense of calm and self-mastery. Just as a Navy SEAL must endure grueling training to develop the strength and mental clarity needed to stay calm under pressure, we too can train our minds by exposing ourselves to discomfort and remaining calm in the face of it. Buddhist monks, for example, practice long hours of meditation in silence and simplicity, intentionally placing themselves in situations that allow them to face discomfort head-on. They sit for hours in stillness, with their minds challenged by wandering thoughts and physical discomfort. But this practice is not about suffering for the sake of suffering. It is about strengthening the mind to remain calm and focused, no matter the external circumstances. It's about developing the mental toughness to endure without reacting, to remain centered and grounded, even when the world around us is chaotic. This practice, repeated over and over, builds the emotional resilience needed to remain unshaken by life's trials. The more we expose ourselves to discomfort without resistance, the stronger we become. It's not about seeking discomfort for the sake of it, but about cultivating the inner strength to face whatever comes our way with equanimity. This is where the true power lies. The ability to remain steady in the midst of turbulence. We don't need to react to every emotional surge or disturbance in our lives. By practicing mindfulness, we can create a space between the discomfort and our reaction to it, allowing us to choose a response rather than automatically reacting out of habit or fear. It's important to start small in this practice, especially if you're new to mindfulness or emotional resilience. You don't have to begin with long hours of meditation or face intense discomfort right away. Start with everyday moments when discomfort arises. Practice patience when you're waiting in line. Sit still during moments of restlessness and resist the urge to distract yourself with your phone. When a difficult emotion arises, whether it's sadness, frustration, or fear, sit with it for a moment and observe it. Don't try to push it away or suppress it. Just observe it without judgment. Over time, this practice builds your emotional resilience, and you begin to develop the strength to remain calm and composed, no matter what life throws your way. Through this practice, discomfort begins to lose its power over you. The more you face it with mindfulness, the less control it has over your emotions and reactions. You develop a greater sense of inner mastery, a mastery over your emotions, your reactions, and your mind. And with this mastery, you gain the ability to navigate life's challenges with grace, clarity, and peace. This is the essence of Buddhist practice. It's not about escaping discomfort, but about embracing it as a tool for growth. Just as a Navy SEAL trains his body to withstand extreme conditions, you can train your mind to remain unshaken in the face of emotional challenges. When you learn to sit with discomfort, rather than running from it, you begin to unlock the true power within you, the power of inner mastery, emotional resilience, and unwavering peace. The path to emotional strength is not about avoiding pain, but about learning to transform it into something far greater, a source of growth, wisdom, and inner peace. Through consistent practice, mindfulness, and the willingness to face discomfort with courage and awareness, you can become emotionally unbreakable, just as a Navy SEAL is physically and mentally prepared for anything. And in doing so, you cultivate the ultimate strength, the strength that comes from knowing that nothing, no external challenge or discomfort, can ever take away your peace. Use the perspective flip to turn problems into power. The power of perspective, transforming challenges into opportunities. In Buddhism, it is often taught that suffering does not come from the events in our lives, but rather from the way we interpret and respond to those events. The Buddha's teachings focus on the idea that our perceptions shape our experience of the world. What one person sees as a disaster, another may view as an opportunity. This insight is at the heart of what is known as the perspective flip, the ability to reframe any challenge or setback in a way that strengthens rather than weakens us. When we learn to shift our perspective, we unlock a profound power to transform our experiences and make them work for us rather than against us. Imagine two people facing the same setback. Both lose their jobs. For one, the loss is a catastrophe. They see it as a personal failure, a blow to their identity, and they quickly fall into despair and self-pity. They may dwell on the loss, replaying thoughts of their unworthiness and fear of the future. The situation overwhelms them, and they feel trapped in a cycle of negativity. But the second person, faced with the same job loss, sees it as a fresh start. Instead of seeing the loss as something devastating, they view it as an opportunity to explore new possibilities, to pursue a dream they had put off, or to develop new skills. They may even see it as a chance to rediscover their passions and reshape their career in a way that aligns more with their true purpose. The event itself, the job loss, is identical for both individuals, but the way in which they perceive it is completely different. This is the power of perspective. In Buddhism, it is taught that the mind creates reality. Our mental framework, the way we perceive and interpret the world, shapes our experience of it. And by intentionally shifting our perspective, we have the power to transform obstacles into stepping stones. The Buddha himself exemplified this principle throughout his life. He faced tremendous hardships, rejection, and even betrayal, yet he did not resist these challenges. Instead, he saw them as opportunities for growth, using every setback as fuel for his enlightenment. When the Buddha was faced with suffering, he did not react by blaming others or the world for his pain. Instead, he looked inward and sought to understand the deeper meaning of his experiences. He saw each challenge as a lesson, a stepping stone on the path to wisdom and enlightenment. This approach to suffering is one of the cornerstones of Buddhist philosophy. Suffering, in and of itself, is not inherently bad. What matters is how we respond to it. Every challenge we face holds within it a hidden lesson. The difficulty itself is not what causes us suffering. It is our resistance to it, our unwillingness to accept it, and our tendency to view it as something that should not be happening. But when we learn to see challenges as opportunities for growth, we change the way we experience the world. We begin to see every hardship as a chance to develop patience, resilience, wisdom, and compassion. The next time you encounter a difficulty, whether it's a setback at work, a conflict with a loved one, or an unexpected change in your life, pause for a moment and ask yourself, how can this situation serve me? What can I learn from this experience? How can this challenge make me stronger? Instead of reacting from a place of frustration or fear, choose to view the situation through the lens of growth. Reframe it as an opportunity to deepen your understanding of yourself and the world around you. The Buddha's life was a testament to the transformative power of perspective. He endured many hardships, his own self-doubt, the loss of his family, the rejection of his teachings by some, and the betrayal of his closest followers. But rather than resisting these challenges, he embraced them as part of his journey toward enlightenment. He didn't view his hardships as personal attacks or signs of failure. Instead, he understood that they were a natural part of the human experience, opportunities to deepen his practice and understanding. By adopting this mindset, we too can learn to face life's challenges with a sense of equanimity. When we encounter a difficult situation, we can train ourselves to ask not, "Why is this happening to me?" but instead, "How is this happening for me?" The shift from victimhood to empowerment is a critical part of the Buddhist path. Instead of seeing ourselves as passive recipients of life's hardships, we begin to view ourselves as active participants in our own growth. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to develop the qualities that will lead us to a deeper sense of peace, clarity, and strength. This is not to say that we should ignore or suppress our negative emotions when we face difficulties. It is natural to feel upset, disappointed, or frustrated when things don't go as planned. The goal is not to deny our emotions, but to recognize that they are temporary. Just as waves rise and fall in the ocean, so too do our emotions. They are fleeting, impermanent, and not something to be clung to. By practicing mindfulness, we can observe these emotions without becoming consumed by them, recognizing that they are simply a part of the larger process of life unfolding. Buddhism teaches that suffering is inevitable, but that suffering need not define us. We do not have to let our challenges diminish our peace of mind. Instead, we can use them as opportunities to build a stronger foundation of wisdom, compassion, and resilience. As we learn to shift our perspective, we begin to see that every challenge is, in fact, an opportunity for transformation. Every difficult experience is a chance to learn something new about ourselves and the world around us. The practice of the perspective flip is simple but powerful. The next time you face a challenge, remember that you have the power to choose how you respond. You can choose to see it as a disaster, or you can choose to see it as an opportunity to grow. You can allow it to weaken you, or you can allow it to strengthen you. By making the conscious decision to reframe your experience, you turn every difficulty into an opportunity for growth, every obstacle into a stepping stone on the path to greater wisdom and peace. The more you practice this perspective flip, the more natural it becomes. Over time, you'll find that the challenges of life no longer feel like burdens, but like opportunities to deepen your practice. You'll begin to see every setback, every hardship, as a part of the natural flow of life, each one contributing to your personal growth. And as you continue on this path, you will realize that nothing in life can truly defeat you, because you have mastered the art of transformation. By adopting the Buddha's wisdom and learning to view the world through the lens of perspective, you will begin to live a life filled with greater peace, clarity, and resilience. Every challenge becomes a gift, every setback an opportunity, and every moment a chance to deepen your understanding of yourself and the world around you. In this way, you can truly transform your life, using each difficulty as a stepping stone to a stronger, more enlightened version of yourself. Master the emotional transmutation technique. Emotional transmutation in Buddhism. Turning negative energy into power. In Buddhism, emotions are understood not as inherently good or bad, but as energy, forces that arise within us and eventually pass. These energies are not permanent, they are transient, like the weather, changing from one moment to the next. The true strength lies not in suppressing or avoiding emotions, but in learning to transform them into something useful. This concept is at the heart of what is known as emotional transmutation, the ability to take negative emotions, such as anger, fear, or frustration, and redirect them toward productive, constructive purposes. It is this process of transformation that allows us to become emotionally strong and resilient. Imagine for a moment a fire. A fire has immense power. If left uncontrolled, it can burn everything in its path, causing destruction and chaos. However, the same fire, when harnessed, can provide warmth, light, and energy, fueling progress and enabling survival. In much the same way, your emotions can either work against you or be channeled to serve you. When you experience anger, fear, or frustration, you have a choice. You can either let these emotions take over and control your actions, or you can transform them into something that propels you forward, whether that's greater awareness, creativity, discipline, or wisdom. This idea of emotional transmutation is a central teaching in Buddhism, where the mind is considered the source of both suffering and liberation. Emotions themselves are not inherently negative or positive. They are simply forces of energy that arise in response to circumstances, thoughts, or external triggers. What causes suffering is not the emotion itself, but the way we attach to it, the way we identify with it, and the way we allow it to define us. The Buddha taught that suffering arises when we cling to emotions as though they are permanent parts of our identity. The moment we say, "I am angry," we begin to identify ourselves with that emotion. We internalize it as part of who we are, and in doing so, we lose our ability to respond mindfully to it. The Buddha's wisdom encourages us to recognize that emotions are transient, like clouds passing through the sky. Instead of becoming attached to them, we are invited to observe them, allow them to rise and fall, and then transform their energy into something that serves our greater good. Let's take anger, for example. Anger is a common and powerful emotion that many of us experience. When anger arises, it can feel overwhelming and often leads to reckless behavior, impulsive reactions, and regret. The instinct might be to lash out, to blame others, or to hold on to the anger, which only deepens our suffering. However, in Buddhism, the practice is not to suppress the anger or deny it, but to transform it. When anger arises, instead of letting it consume you, pause for a moment and ask yourself, how can I use this energy? Can I redirect it toward something positive, like motivating myself to take action, setting healthy boundaries, or pushing myself to grow? By using the energy of anger as fuel, rather than letting it burn out of control, you channel that force into something constructive. Anger, in this sense, becomes the catalyst for discipline, wisdom, and even creativity. Similarly, fear is another emotion that many of us struggle with. Fear can be paralyzing, preventing us from taking risks, pursuing opportunities, or moving forward in our lives. When fear arises, our natural instinct might be to retreat, to avoid the situation, or to hide from the discomfort. But Buddhism teaches that fear is not something to be avoided. Fear, like anger, is a form of energy that can be transformed. Instead of letting fear stop you in your tracks, use it to sharpen your awareness. Fear heightens our senses and increases our focus. It prepares us to face challenges head-on, to approach them with clarity, and to make the best decisions under pressure. In Buddhist practice, this transformation of fear into focus and awareness is a form of inner strength. A warrior who faces fear before battle does not retreat in the face of it. Instead, he uses that fear to heighten his attention, to become more focused, and to perform at his best. You can apply the same principle to your own life. When you feel fear, don't run from it. Instead, allow it to sharpen your focus and bring clarity to the situation. The key to this process of emotional transmutation lies in detachment. The Buddha taught that attachment to emotions is the root of suffering. When we become attached to an emotion, We begin to identify with it and let it control our actions. But if we can learn to detach from the emotion, we regain control. We no longer let the emotion define us. Instead, we observe it with awareness and choose how to respond. For example, when frustration arises during meditation, a Buddhist monk does not give up or retreat into self-doubt. Instead, he uses the frustration as an opportunity to deepen his practice. The discomfort becomes a teacher, inviting him to face the struggle with patience and perseverance, not as something to avoid, but as something to embrace and transform. In the same way, you can transform negative emotions by choosing not to react impulsively, but to pause, reflect, and decide how you want to respond. In practical terms, the process of emotional transmutation can be practiced in everyday life. The next time you feel overwhelmed by a difficult emotion, whether it's anger, fear, sadness, or frustration, pause for a moment. Instead of reacting immediately, take a deep breath and ask yourself, how can I use this energy for my growth? The emotion you are feeling is not a force to be feared or suppressed. It is simply energy that can be redirected. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How can this challenge strengthen my mind, my character, or my relationships? What opportunities for growth does this emotion offer me? Over time, as you continue to practice emotional transmutation, you will begin to notice a shift in your relationship to emotions. No longer will you be at the mercy of your feelings, allowing them to dictate your actions. Instead, you will become the master of your emotional energy, channeling it in ways that promote your growth and well-being. You will become less reactive and more mindful, less attached to fleeting emotions, and more grounded in your true nature. The ultimate goal of emotional transmutation is to gain mastery over your emotions, to move through life with greater calm, clarity, and resilience. The Buddha's teachings offer a powerful path to emotional freedom. Instead of being ruled by emotions, we can learn to transform them, turning negative energy into fuel for our personal growth and enlightenment. When you master this technique, no emotion will ever control you again. You will become a warrior of the mind, able to face life's challenges with strength, discipline, and wisdom. In the end, the process of emotional transmutation is about recognizing the impermanence of all emotions, understanding that they are neither good nor bad, but simply temporary energies that rise and pass. When you stop identifying with your emotions and start transforming them, you unlock a deep source of inner power that will guide you through life's greatest challenges. The key is not to suppress or avoid your emotions, but to embrace them, observe them, and channel them into something that serves your growth. Through this practice, you become emotionally unshakable, and no force, internal or external, will be able to diminish your peace. Adopt the Stoic Observer mindset. Become untouchable, the power of detachment and the Stoic Observer mindset. Buddhism teaches us that suffering does not arise from external events, but from how we choose to react to them. The challenges and difficulties of life are inevitable, but it is our response to them that determines whether we experience peace or turmoil. This concept is central to Buddhist philosophy, and it is echoed in practices like mindfulness and meditation. One of the most powerful tools to cultivate emotional resilience is what is known as the Stoic Observer mindset. The ability to step back and watch your emotions without becoming consumed by them. Rather than being a victim of your feelings, you become an observer, detached, calm, and in control. Imagine for a moment that you are sitting by a river, watching the water flow gently by. On the surface of the water, leaves float by, carried effortlessly by the current. Each leaf represents a thought or emotion: anger, fear, sadness, joy, frustration, or excitement. The key is not to grab onto these leaves, but to watch them drift away. They are simply passing by, no different from any other leaf that floats along. In the same way, emotions and thoughts arise within us, but they do not have to define us. We can choose to observe them without attachment, allowing them to pass without resistance. This is the essence of the Buddhist approach to emotions, acknowledging them without becoming attached or allowing them to control us. In Buddhist meditation, this practice is known as observing the breath or thoughts without judgment. Instead of identifying with the emotions that arise, we simply allow them to come and go, like leaves drifting down a stream. The more we practice this, the easier it becomes to see that emotions are impermanent and fleeting. They are like waves on the ocean. Some are large and intense, others are small and subtle, but they always pass. When something upsetting happens in your life, such as a conflict with a loved one, a criticism from a colleague, or an unexpected change in your plans, the natural human instinct is to react. We may feel anger, frustration, fear, or sadness. Often we feel compelled to express these emotions immediately, to act upon them, or to allow them to dictate our next move. However, the Buddhist path encourages us to pause before reacting. Instead of immediately reacting to our emotions, we take a breath and observe our inner response. This pause is incredibly powerful. It gives us the space to choose our reaction rather than simply acting on impulse. It allows us to respond with mindfulness rather than being swept away by the tide of emotion. In that brief moment, we can ask ourselves, what is the nature of this emotion? Is it temporary? Is it useful? How can I respond to this situation in a way that promotes peace and clarity? By observing the emotion instead of being controlled by it, we gain control over our response. The Buddha is perhaps the most famous example of someone who embodied this stoic observer mindset. He faced many challenges in his life, including insult, rejection, and even betrayal. Yet, despite these difficulties, he remained calm and centered. The Buddha understood a fundamental truth. No one can disturb your peace unless you allow them to. A person's words, actions, or opinions only have power over you if you attach importance to them. The Buddha did not allow insults or negative comments to define him. He remained unaffected by the judgments of others because he understood that external circumstances are not the source of his inner peace. His peace came from within, from his ability to observe his emotions without becoming attached to them. This is the true power of detachment. Detachment does not mean indifference or numbness. It does not mean that you suppress your emotions or avoid feeling them. Rather, detachment means that you do not identify with your emotions or allow them to control you. You are not your anger, your fear, your sadness, or your joy. You are the observer of these emotions. By creating this distance between yourself and your emotions, you can choose how to respond. This is the foundation of emotional resilience, the ability to remain steady, calm, and clear-minded, no matter what life throws your way. The Stoic observer mindset teaches us to view emotions as passing phenomena rather than permanent aspects of our identity. Imagine a sky filled with clouds. Some clouds are dark and stormy, while others are light and fluffy. The clouds may change shape and color, but the sky remains constant. Similarly, our emotions come and go, but our true nature remains unshaken. When we practice the observer mindset, we begin to see that our emotions are like clouds. They come and go, but they do not define who we are. We are the vast, open sky that remains unchanged. This ability to observe without becoming attached is not an instinctual response. It is something that must be cultivated through mindfulness and meditation. It takes practice to detach from emotions and adopt the Stoic observer mindset. But with time, you will find that it becomes easier to step back and observe your emotions without judgment. You will learn to pause before reacting, to take a breath and choose your response rather than being swept away by the tide of emotion. Whenever you feel overwhelmed by strong emotions, whether it's anger, sadness, frustration, or fear, practice this mindset. Say to yourself, I am not my thoughts, I am not my emotions, I am the observer. This simple affirmation can help you create the space you need to detach from the emotion and regain control. When you observe your emotions from a place of detachment, you are not denying them or suppressing them. Instead, you are acknowledging them without allowing them to dictate your actions. This practice helps you develop emotional mastery, as you no longer react impulsively to situations, but instead respond with wisdom and clarity. The more you practice this mindset, the more untouchable you will become. You will find that external events, whether positive or negative, no longer have the power to disturb your inner peace. You will become unshaken by the opinions, actions, or words of others. You will begin to live from a place of deep inner strength, grounded in the understanding that your peace comes from within. Nothing in the external world can take that away from you. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, the Stoic observer mindset offers a powerful tool for navigating life with grace and resilience. By learning to detach from your emotions and observe them without attachment, you create the space to choose your responses and maintain your peace. No matter what challenges you face, no matter how difficult the situation, you will always have the ability to remain calm and centered. With time and practice, you will develop a state of mind that is untouchable, one that remains unshaken no matter what happens. This is the power of the observer mindset in Buddhism. By adopting this perspective, you free yourself from the grip of your emotions and take control of your inner world. You become the master of your mind, not the servant of your feelings. The observer mindset is not just about observing your emotions, it's about observing your life from a higher perspective, one that is detached from the drama and turmoil of the moment. It's about stepping back and recognizing that you are the one who chooses how to respond to life, and you can choose peace, clarity, and resilience. In doing so, you become untouchable. Build a mental fortress through emotional fasting. Emotional fasting, cultivating strength and resilience through detachment. In Buddhism, one of the greatest sources of suffering is attachment. Attachment to comfort, pleasure, and emotional indulgence. It's easy to become reliant on external sources to feel good, to seek validation from others, or to look for distractions to escape from discomfort. The more we depend on external validation, entertainment, or immediate pleasures, the weaker our minds become. Buddhism teaches that the path to true inner peace lies in learning to detach from these external sources and cultivate strength from within. This is where the practice of emotional fasting comes in. What is emotional fasting? Emotional fasting is the practice of voluntarily depriving yourself of unnecessary emotional indulgences. Just as physical fasting strengthens the body by teaching it to function without constant consumption, emotional fasting strengthens the mind by teaching it to remain stable without relying on constant pleasure, validation, or reassurance. Emotional fasting is about reducing your dependence on external sources for emotional stability and learning to cultivate inner strength and resilience. Many people go through life depending on external sources to regulate their emotions. They need validation from others to feel confident, seeking comfort in entertainment or distractions to avoid discomfort. Instant gratification becomes a way to escape boredom, frustration, or loneliness. However, over time, this dependency weakens the mind's ability to handle adversity. When you constantly rely on external sources for emotional support, you never learn to train your mind to handle discomfort without crutches. In Buddhist practice, this is viewed as a significant hindrance to spiritual growth and peace. The Buddha taught that true peace comes from within, and that happiness derived from external sources is fleeting and unreliable. Our attachment to these fleeting comforts only serves to reinforce our dependency, keeping us bound to the cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. The essence of Buddhist teachings on detachment is not to deny joy, comfort, or pleasure, but to stop clinging to them, allowing them to arise naturally without the need to depend on them for your emotional well-being. Emotional fasting is one of the methods to train your mind in this form of detachment. Why is emotional fasting important? Most of us live in a world filled with distractions. We scroll through social media for validation, reach for comfort food when we feel stressed, or binge-watch television to escape our thoughts and emotions. This constant need for external stimulation erodes our emotional resilience and mental strength. When life throws challenges our way, we find it harder to deal with them because we've never trained our minds to function without immediate gratification. Buddhist monks, for example, do not seek constant pleasure or comfort because they understand that true strength comes from detachment. They live simply, avoiding excess, and spend hours in meditation, training their minds to be free from attachment. They do not rely on external sources, whether food, entertainment, or material possessions, to feel complete. Their inner peace comes from within, cultivated through their daily practice of mindfulness, meditation, and simplicity. In the same way, you can apply this principle to your own life. By reducing your emotional dependence on external sources of comfort and pleasure, you will begin to build the ability to endure discomfort and adversity without breaking. Emotional fasting is not about denying yourself happiness or comfort. It is about learning to cultivate the ability to experience these things without being dependent on them. How to begin emotional fasting? The practice of emotional fasting can begin with small steps. Start by identifying what you emotionally consume the most. Are you constantly checking your phone for validation? Do you turn to social media to ease your boredom or loneliness? Do you rely on comfort food or entertainment to escape stress? Do you immediately react to emotions like anger, frustration, or sadness rather than sitting with them and observing them? Once you have identified these emotional crutches, begin fasting from them. The key is not to eliminate them completely at once, but to gradually reduce your reliance on them. Here are a few practical steps you can take to begin. 1. Spend time in silence. Without distractions. Take time each day to be alone in silence, free from distractions like your phone, television, or social media. This can be as simple as sitting in a quiet room, going for a walk in nature, or meditating. Use this time to observe your thoughts and emotions without reacting to them. This will help you develop mental clarity and self-awareness. 2. Resist the urge to comfort yourself immediately. When discomfort arises, whether it's boredom, frustration, or sadness, try not to immediately reach for a form of comfort or distraction. Instead, sit with the discomfort for a few moments. Acknowledge the emotion without judgment, and observe how it feels in your body and mind. Notice how the emotion shifts and changes over time. This practice teaches you that emotions are transient and that you do not need to immediately act on them. 3. Sit with negative emotions. Instead of reacting impulsively to negative emotions, practice sitting with them. When anger, sadness, or frustration arises, resist the urge to react or distract yourself. Observe the emotion as it rises and passes. Remind yourself that you are not your emotions, They are just temporary experiences that come and go. This practice of observing without reacting builds emotional resilience and helps you to remain steady in the face of adversity. 4. Practice mindful eating and consumption. Pay attention to what you consume, both physically and emotionally. Avoid mindlessly eating comfort foods when you're feeling stressed or bored. Similarly, reduce the amount of entertainment or social media you consume for emotional comfort. Instead, eat and consume with mindfulness, focusing on the present moment and the experience itself, rather than using food or entertainment to escape discomfort. The benefits of emotional fasting. Over time, as you reduce your emotional dependencies, you will begin to notice significant changes in your emotional resilience and mental strength. The more you practice emotional fasting, the stronger and more stable your mind becomes. You will develop greater patience, self-control, and the ability to remain calm and centered in the face of life's challenges. You will no longer feel the need to seek external validation or comfort to feel complete. Emotional fasting also strengthens your ability to handle discomfort without breaking. You will develop the mental resilience to endure difficult emotions and situations without being overwhelmed by them. Whether it's frustration at work, a personal setback, or a challenging relationship, you will have the inner strength to face these difficulties without losing your peace. As your practice deepens, you will begin to experience a sense of inner stability that comes from within. Life's ups and downs will no longer throw you off balance, because you will have trained yourself to remain steady regardless of external circumstances. You will become less reactive to your emotions, less dependent on others for validation, and more in control of your emotional responses. This inner strength is the essence of true peace and the path to an unshakable mind. By practicing emotional fasting, you free yourself from the need to cling to external sources of happiness and comfort. You become the master of your emotions, able to face the world with confidence, resilience, and inner peace. This is the power of emotional fasting. It transforms your mind into a fortress, making you less susceptible to the ups and downs of life and more rooted in the unshakable peace that comes from within. Through emotional fasting, you develop the strength and resilience to handle life's challenges without relying on external sources of comfort, entertainment, or validation. You learn to cultivate inner peace and stability, building a mind that is unshaken by life's storms. This practice not only strengthens your emotional resilience, but it also deepens your connection to your true self. By embracing detachment, observing your emotions without judgment, and reducing your dependency on instant gratification, you build a foundation of true inner strength. The path of emotional fasting is the path of the unshakable mind. It is a path of self-mastery, inner peace, and emotional freedom. Through this practice, you transform your mind into a fortress, strong, resilient, and steady no matter what challenges life may bring. Develop the no-reaction mastery control what you can. The power of no-reaction mastery in Buddhism. In Buddhism, one of the highest forms of self-mastery is the ability to remain unmoved by external forces. Life, in all its complexity, constantly tests our emotional strength. People will try to provoke us, situations will challenge our patience, and emotions will surge within us, pushing us toward impulsive reactions. But true strength, according to the Buddha's teachings, is not found in how we respond to these external forces, but in our ability to remain calm, composed, and in control, regardless of what happens around us. This is the essence of mastering the art of no reaction, the practice of staying grounded and unshaken, no matter the storm that brews externally or internally. The world will always challenge you. There will be moments when things do not go your way, when others act in ways that hurt, frustrate, or insult you. These moments can feel overwhelming, and it's easy to fall into the trap of reacting impulsively. When someone insults us, the first impulse might be to defend ourselves or lash out. When things don't go according to plan, frustration and anger may bubble up. But what if we could learn not to react? What if we could take a step back, observe our emotions, and choose a response based on wisdom, rather than simply reacting from a place of anger, fear, or defensiveness? This practice is one of the most powerful aspects of Buddhist teachings, and it is centered around the idea that the more we react to external events, the more power we give to those events. The Buddha taught that suffering arises not from the events themselves, but from the way we react to them. When we react impulsively to negativity, we allow external forces to control our emotional state. But when we stop reacting, we take back control. We regain mastery over our own minds and emotions, regardless of what is happening around us. Imagine someone trying to start a fire with wet wood. No matter how hard they try, the fire won't catch. The wood is simply too damp, too resistant to ignition. In the same way, when people try to provoke you and you do not react, their negativity has no fuel to catch. When you remain unmoved by their attempts to provoke or insult, their words or actions lose their power over you. This is the core of the Buddhist principle of non-reaction. When you do not react, you take away the power that external circumstances have over your peace of mind. This is why Buddhist monks engage in practices like silence and mindfulness. Through these practices, they train their minds to observe emotions without becoming slaves to them. They understand that reacting impulsively only leads to more suffering, and that true inner peace is found in the space between stimulus and response. A monk's practice is to sit with discomfort, to observe their thoughts and emotions, but not to engage with them. They recognize that emotions like anger, frustration, or sadness are temporary, like waves on the surface of the ocean. The waves may rise, but they eventually fall. By not reacting to the waves, they maintain their internal calm and strength. The practice of non-reaction does not mean suppressing emotions or avoiding confrontation. It is not about denying your feelings or pretending that everything is fine when it's not. It is about observing your emotions with awareness and choosing a response with wisdom. When someone insults you, instead of immediately defending yourself, you pause and ask, "Does this truly affect me, or is it my ego reacting?" When frustration or irritation arises, instead of immediately acting on impulse, you take a deep breath and observe the emotion, like watching a cloud drift by. You don't engage with the cloud, you simply let it pass. This ability to remain unmoved in the face of provocation or difficulty is the true path to emotional freedom. It is the path of no-reaction mastery. Through consistent practice, you can train your mind to stay calm in the face of adversity. When you are no longer ruled by external events or other people's actions, you reclaim your peace and control. The more you practice this non-reaction, the more power you gain over your own mind. You begin to realize that you are not at the mercy of your circumstances. Instead, you are the master of your inner world. The Buddha's teachings make it clear that true power lies in your ability to control what others cannot. People can try to provoke you with insults, criticism, or negativity, but they cannot force you to react. They can say whatever they like, but they cannot dictate your emotions unless you allow them to. This is the power of no-reaction mastery. When you can stay calm and composed in the face of anger, frustration, or insults, you take away the power that those external events or people have over you. Consider a challenging situation in your life. perhaps a conflict with a loved one, a stressful situation at work, or a moment when someone criticizes you. The natural instinct may be to react, to defend yourself, or to get upset. But instead, practice this. Pause, breathe, and observe. In that pause, recognize that you do not have to react immediately. You have a choice. In that space between stimulus and response, you can choose how to respond based on wisdom, not emotion. Ask yourself, how can I respond in a way that maintains my peace? Is reacting in anger or frustration going to improve this situation, or will it only escalate it? By taking the time to choose your response thoughtfully, you take back control of the situation. This practice takes time and effort. The more you train yourself to observe your emotions without immediately reacting, the easier it becomes to remain calm in difficult situations. It requires mindfulness, patience, and discipline, but over time you will notice that you are less and less affected by external provocation. You will find that you can remain steady even in the midst of chaos. You will be like the rock in the middle of a stormy sea, solid, grounded, and unshaken by the waves that crash against you. Mastering no reaction is also about recognizing the impermanence of emotions. All emotions are transient. When you feel anger or frustration rising within you, remember that it is temporary. It will pass. The more you practice not reacting to it, the quicker it will subside. The Buddha taught that suffering arises when we attach to these fleeting emotions as if they are permanent. But when you recognize that emotions are like clouds, ever-changing and impermanent, you can detach from them. You can watch them pass without becoming identified with them. One of the most profound aspects of the no-reaction practice is that it brings you to a place of peace that cannot be disturbed. When you stop reacting to external events, you are no longer tossed around by the ups and downs of life. You are grounded in your inner peace, and nothing external can take that peace away. You become untouchable. No matter what happens around you, your peace remains intact. This is the power of no-reaction mastery. When you practice this mindset, you are not a passive observer of life. You are an active participant in creating your own inner world. You choose how you respond to situations, and in doing so, you maintain control over your emotional state. You are not at the mercy of the world's ups and downs, but rather, you are the steady force within it. In conclusion, the art of no reaction is one of the highest forms of self-mastery that Buddhism teaches. It is the ability to remain calm, composed, and in control, no matter what external circumstances may arise. By practicing this, you free yourself from the grip of negative emotions and external events. You become the master of your mind, the keeper of your peace, and the true embodiment of emotional resilience. No matter what happens around you, you remain steady, unshaken, and completely in control. This is the power of no-reaction mastery, a mind so strong that nothing external can break it. Use dark visualization to become unstoppable. Dark visualization, preparing your mind to face life's hardships. In Buddhism, one of the most profound teachings is the acceptance of suffering, loss, and impermanence. Most people instinctively avoid thinking about worst-case scenarios because they fear them. They fear the potential loss of loved ones, the inevitability of failure, or the harsh realities that life may throw at them. However, what if you could confront these fears head-on? What if you trained your mind to face darkness so that when adversity inevitably comes, you are already stronger than it? This is the transformative power of dark visualization, a technique that allows you to mentally prepare for life's hardships in advance, making you emotionally unbreakable. The danger of denial. Many people live in denial, believing that the good times will last forever. They avoid thinking about loss, failure, and struggle because these are uncomfortable thoughts. There is a common tendency to focus on the present moment, enjoying the comfort of what is familiar, and pushing aside any thought of potential suffering. But the reality is that life is impermanent. Hardship will inevitably come. Whether it's the loss of a loved one, the failure of a dream, or a personal crisis, we all face challenges and suffering at some point. The problem is that by avoiding these possibilities, we are unprepared for them when they inevitably arise. Instead of being mentally and emotionally equipped to handle difficulty, we find ourselves shocked, overwhelmed, and unsteady. Contrast this with the approach taken by Buddhist monks and Stoic philosophers. They make a practice of contemplating suffering regularly, not to dwell in negativity, but to strip fear of its power. They meditate on the impermanence of life, imagining scenarios like losing everything, facing rejection, or even contemplating death itself. By doing this, they train their minds to accept suffering and loss as inevitable parts of life. This mental preparation ensures that, when these events occur in reality, they remain strong, composed, and steady. The power of dark visualization. Dark visualization is a mental training technique where you consciously imagine difficult or painful scenarios that could occur in your life. The purpose of this practice is not to wallow in fear or despair, but to prepare your mind for challenges so that when adversity arises, you face it with strength and wisdom rather than panic or helplessness. The Buddha taught that suffering is a natural part of life, and the more we resist it, the more it controls us. By accepting suffering as a part of existence, we liberate ourselves from the fear and anxiety that often accompany it. When you practice dark visualization, you shift your perspective. Instead of fearing hardship, you begin to embrace it as an inevitable part of life. You mentally prepare yourself for setbacks, not to dwell in negativity, but to fortify your emotional resilience. If you visualize failure in advance, you can mentally rehearse how you will respond when it happens, which removes the element of surprise and prevents you from reacting impulsively. If you contemplate loss, you learn to appreciate what you have, not out of fear, but from the understanding that everything is temporary. By considering your mortality, you begin to realize how important it is to spend your time wisely and focus on what truly matters. Emotional resilience and strength. This practice of dark visualization also plays a vital role in emotional resilience. When you prepare for emotional pain, whether it's betrayal, criticism, or rejection, you remove the sting that these experiences can cause. Many people feel deeply shaken when others disappoint or hurt them. However, by visualizing such scenarios ahead of time, you can train yourself to respond with grace and strength when they happen in reality. If you expect betrayal or rejection, you can mentally rehearse how you will handle it without becoming consumed by it. If you foresee a challenging situation, you can visualize yourself handling it with calm, clear-headedness, and dignity. By creating a mental blueprint for how you will respond to adversity before it arrives, you ensure that when life throws challenges your way, you do not fall apart. Instead, you remain steady, unwavering, and composed. This is the essence of Buddhist training, the ability to face life's storms with a mind that has already prepared itself for them. Great warriors, Buddhist monks, and historical leaders have long used this technique to remain steady in the face of difficulty. While others may panic, crumble, or succumb to fear during crises, those who have trained their minds through dark visualization stay calm, collected, and in control. This is not because they are immune to suffering, but because they have already faced their fears in their minds and are mentally equipped to handle whatever comes their way. How to practice dark visualization. Start by setting aside time each day to practice dark visualization. In a quiet space, allow your mind to wander through potential hardships, such as losing something valuable, facing rejection, or experiencing a tough life situation. Imagine these events in vivid detail, not to create fear, but to see them with clarity. What emotions would arise? How would you feel? Allow yourself to experience these emotions, but do not get attached to them. Acknowledge them, and then let them pass. The more you practice this, the more emotionally prepared you will become for real-life challenges. But dark visualization isn't just about imagining the problem itself. It's also about visualizing how you will respond. When you imagine losing something or facing rejection, take the time to visualize yourself responding with strength, wisdom, and grace. Picture yourself maintaining composure and clarity in the face of adversity. Feel the emotions that come with these situations, but also feel the inner strength that allows you to move through them. With each practice session, you will begin to form a mental blueprint for how you will respond when life's difficulties arise. By training your mind in this way, you build emotional fortitude. You create a mental landscape where setbacks, failure, and loss are not sources of fear, but opportunities for growth. You stop running from suffering, and instead you embrace it as a teacher. The more you do this, the stronger and more resilient you become. When real adversity strikes, you will no longer be surprised, overwhelmed, or weak. You will face it with the mindset of someone who has already conquered it, someone who has already prepared for it. This mental strength is what makes you unstoppable. You do not just hope for good times, you train for the bad ones, and because of that, nothing, no loss, no failure, no hardship will ever break you. The benefits of dark visualization. The benefits of practicing dark visualization are profound. First, it eliminates fear. Fear often arises when we encounter the unknown, when we are unprepared for what might come. By visualizing potential hardships in advance, you strip them of their power. Instead of fearing rejection, loss, or failure, you begin to see them as natural parts of life. You realize that these experiences are not threats to your well-being, but opportunities to strengthen your emotional resilience. Second, dark visualization increases gratitude. When you mentally prepare for loss, you come to appreciate what you have even more. By recognizing that all things are temporary, you learn to cherish the present moment and the people in your life. Your appreciation for life deepens, and you become more focused on the things that truly matter. Lastly, dark visualization fosters emotional mastery. By rehearsing how you will respond to hardship, you create a mental and emotional foundation that allows you to stay calm and composed no matter what life throws your way. Your ability to handle criticism, rejection, or failure with grace and strength grows exponentially. The more you practice, the more unshakable you become. In life, there is no way to avoid suffering, loss, or failure. These things are inevitable parts of the human experience. But by practicing dark visualization, you can prepare your mind to face these challenges head-on. By imagining adversity in advance and rehearsing how you will respond, you build the emotional resilience, strength, and wisdom needed to weather any storm. This practice does not make life easier, but it makes you stronger. It transforms you into someone who has already conquered life's hardships in their mind, making you emotionally unbreakable when they occur in reality. And in doing so, you become truly unstoppable. Create a life code that becomes your unbreakable identity, creating an unshakable life code, the foundation of true strength in Buddhism. In Buddhism, true strength is not derived from fleeting moments of motivation, but from establishing a deep, unshakable foundation. a personal code that defines who you are, how you think, and how you respond to life's inevitable challenges. Most people go through life reacting to circumstances, allowing their emotions to dictate their actions, and being influenced by external pressures. However, those who create a personal life code, a set of principles they live by, become unbreakable. They are not swayed by impulses or opinions. They are guided by a clear, deep sense of purpose, discipline, and clarity. This kind of strength is not temporary or conditional, but a lasting force that endures regardless of what life throws at you. A life code is much more than just a list of values or goals. It is an internal contract you make with yourself, a set of unshakable principles that govern your behavior and decision-making, regardless of the circumstances or how you feel in any given moment. It serves as a moral compass, keeping you grounded and focused, even in the most difficult of times. Without such a guiding philosophy, people often find themselves adrift in a sea of conflicting emotions and external pressures. But when you live by a set of clear, deeply held principles, challenges and hardships no longer shake you because you already know how you will respond to them. The Eightfold Path, a blueprint for personal mastery. In Buddhism, the Eightfold Path serves as a powerful example of a personal code. It is a framework that guides individuals toward enlightenment with principles that govern their actions, thoughts, and speech. The Eightfold Path is not dependent on external circumstances, but is instead based on the commitment to self-mastery and inner peace. Just as Buddhist monks live by strict moral and mental codes, you can create your own personal life code, one that reflects the person you wish to become and the mindset you want to embody. Having a personal code, like the Eightfold Path, means that your behavior is not determined by immediate emotional responses or outside influences. When you have a set of values that you believe in deeply, you are no longer at the mercy of fleeting emotions or the chaos of the world around you. Instead, you navigate life with a sense of clarity, consistency, and purpose. You become a person of integrity, someone whose actions align with their beliefs, regardless of external pressures. The importance of defining your core values. The first step in creating your personal life code is defining your core values. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be? What principles will I never compromise? What mindset will I carry in every situation? These are essential questions that will help you craft a life code that is truly reflective of who you are and who you are striving to become. Take time to reflect on what matters most to you in life and what you want to stand for. Your core values may include things like honesty, compassion, integrity, resilience, or mindfulness. These are the principles that form the foundation of your life code. When you live by these values, they will become the lens through which you view the world and the filter through which you make decisions. It's important that your code reflects the person you are becoming, the version of you that is disciplined, resilient, and mentally strong. Your values should push you toward growth, not comfort. Once you've defined your core values, write down the rules you will follow in life, rules that are non-negotiable. These rules should guide your behavior, regardless of the external circumstances or how you feel in the moment. Examples of life code statements might include, I will not allow emotions to dictate my actions. I will train my mind daily through meditation and self-discipline. I will remain calm in all situations, no matter how difficult. I will detach from what I cannot control and focus only on my own actions. I will never complain about hardship. I will only seek solutions. I will practice gratitude and appreciate every moment, no matter the circumstances. I will act with wisdom, not impulse. I will never betray my values, even when no one is watching. These are not just statements of intention, they are the foundational principles that will guide your decisions and actions. By establishing such principles, you create a structure for your life that aligns with your deepest beliefs and desires for self-improvement. Your life code becomes a roadmap for how you navigate the world, ensuring that your actions remain in harmony with your values. Living by your code, the path to becoming unbreakable. The next step is to live by your life code every day. This is where the true strength of your personal philosophy is tested. It requires discipline, commitment, and consistency. But over time, your life code becomes more than just a set of rules. It becomes your identity. It is no longer something you think about. It is something you embody. You do not just try to stay calm. You become a calm person. You do not just try to be resilient. You are resilient. By practicing your life code daily, you reinforce the principles you've set for yourself, gradually turning them into habits that shape your character. As you live by your code, you cultivate a strong sense of identity that is not easily shaken. You develop a mindset that is unbreakable regardless of the circumstances you face. Buddhist monks embody this philosophy in their daily lives. They adhere to strict moral and mental principles, which is why they remain peaceful and steady in all situations. They do not react impulsively to negativity because they have already chosen wisdom over reaction. They do not seek validation from others because they know their worth comes from within. They do not waste energy on things beyond their control because their path is already set. This is the power of having a personal life code. It removes doubt, confusion, and emotional instability. You no longer ask, "How should I respond to this situation?" because you already know the answer. Your life code dictates it. Your principles govern your decisions, leaving no room for hesitation or indecision. You no longer have to think about what to do in a difficult moment. You simply act according to the code you've already established. How a life code protects you from external distractions. One of the most powerful aspects of having a personal life code is that it protects you from the distractions and temptations of the modern world. Many people are lost because they follow whatever feels good in the moment. They change their minds based on social pressure. They give in to instant gratification because they have no guiding principles. But when you have a strong foundation, you do not fall into these traps. You remain steady, focused, and in control. Your life code shields you from the distractions of the world, allowing you to stay focused on your purpose. With a life code in place, you no longer act impulsively or react to the world around you. Instead, you respond thoughtfully and in line with your principles. Your life code helps you make decisions that align with your deepest values, and when you are faced with temptation or difficulty, you do not waver. You simply follow your code because you have already decided how to live. The power of decision-making with a life code. One of the most practical benefits of having a personal life code is that it makes decision-making easier. Life is full of difficult choices, and without a guiding philosophy, those choices can become overwhelming. However, when you have a clear set of principles, your values already provide the answer. For example, if your life code states, "I do not break my commitments," then when temptation arises, there is no internal battle. You do not hesitate or question your decision. You simply follow your principle. If your code says, "I remain calm in all situations," then when stress comes, you do not allow it to control you. Your code becomes a mental armor, guiding you through life's challenges with confidence and clarity. When you face adversity, you do not collapse under pressure. Instead, you follow your principles. When people try to shake you, they fail because you are rooted in something deeper than temporary emotions. Your identity is no longer shaped by external events, but by the internal foundation you have built. A personal life code is not just a list of rules. It is the foundation of your identity. It is a set of principles that guide your actions, decisions, and responses to life's challenges. When you live by your life code, you become unshakable. You are not at the mercy of external circumstances or fleeting emotions. Your life code is the anchor that keeps you steady in a world that is constantly changing. By defining your values, living by them consistently, and making them the foundation of your identity, you create an unbreakable mindset. The challenges of life may still come, but you will meet them with confidence, clarity, and inner strength. This is the power of a life code. It gives you a foundation so strong that nothing, no hardship, no failure, no loss, can break you. You become a person whose actions are guided not by impulse, but by an unshakable set of principles that lead you toward your highest potential. Becoming emotionally unbreakable is not about shutting down or suppressing your emotions. It is about mastering them. It's about developing an inner strength so profound that no external force can shake you. Emotions are a natural part of being human, and trying to deny or suppress them only leads to greater internal conflict. Instead, true strength comes from learning how to acknowledge, understand, and channel your emotions in a way that serves you, rather than being controlled by them. Buddhism teaches that true strength is not aggression, but deep, unwavering peace. The Buddha's wisdom lies in understanding that suffering comes from attachment to our emotions, to our desires, and to external outcomes. When we attach ourselves to emotions like anger, fear, or sadness, we allow them to dictate our actions and reactions. This creates inner turmoil and suffering. But when we learn to detach, not by ignoring our emotions, but by acknowledging them without attachment, we create space for true inner peace to blossom. Daily practice is key to mastering your emotions. By incorporating Buddhist teachings and mindfulness practices into your daily life, you develop a mindset that remains calm in the storm. You learn to observe your emotions without judgment, allowing them to arise and pass naturally, just like waves in the ocean. With this practice, you cultivate emotional resilience, a steady, unwavering mind that does not become swept away by life's challenges. As you build this inner strength, you begin to see life's changes and challenges not as obstacles to overcome, but as opportunities to grow. Emotional strength isn't about avoiding difficulty. It's about learning to meet each difficulty with wisdom, patience, and understanding. The storms of life will still come, but you will face them with a heart that remains unshaken. The journey to emotional strength is a lifelong path. It requires consistent practice, patience, and the willingness to confront your emotions rather than running from them. With each step, you grow wiser, more resilient, and more at peace with yourself and the world around you. You learn to release attachment to outcomes, to forgive yourself and others, and to cultivate a deeper sense of inner peace. If you're ready to begin this journey toward emotional unbreakability and delve into the teachings that can help you cultivate a life of peace, wisdom, and resilience,